Next strategy, negotiation. Negotiation is an agreement of how to do us. What are the rules we are going to agree to for how our relationship is going to work? And agreements are the glue of any relationship. What is allowed in our relationship and what better not happen. Every relationship you're in right now, including all the stuff you can't stand, those things only happen because you agreed to it. Either openly or passively. If someone gets a right to break wind in public and embarrass you, why do they do that? Because you allow it. You've agreed to it. If someone gets to insult you when they're angry, and then they apologize later, and you say, "Oh, it's okay. I forgive you." You're agreeing to those steps. You get to insult me, you get to apologize, and I'll let you off the hook with no consequences. You agree to that pattern. But then you go and tell your friend, "I wish he'd stop doing that. I wish he'd stop talking disrespectfully to me. Or I wish she would stop calling me an idiot when I do something she doesn't like." If it happens, it's because you've agreed to it. And we talked about trust earlier over here. Somebody values trust. The number one way to establish and maintain trust in relationships is to honor the agreements you've made. If you agree to treat each other a certain way and you consistently do so, you've demonstrated yourself as trustworthy. Because you make an agreement and you stick to it. Now, there are four main agreements that exist in every relationship. The first agreement is that you're actually in a partnership. The second agreement is whether the partnership is win-win, win-lose, or lose-lose. Because there are some people that say, "Well, I want both of us to succeed. I want us to work together," while the other person has decided that your relationship is a competition, where they feel they've only won if you lose. What's a bullying relationship? Is that win-win? That's win-lose. Come on, can't we just be friends? No, get away from me, loser. You're trying to negotiate a win-win when they insist upon a win-lose. So it's essential to know what is the power dynamic. The third agreement is what is the agreed upon outcome? Why are we in this relationship? Well, to be friends. What does that mean? So we have fun together. Okay, fun's an outcome. I want to be with somebody who understands me. Okay, being understood is an outcome. When you understand what values you're going after together. Why are we together? Well, I like to have conversations. I like to watch movies. Okay, those are kind of outcomes too. If you agree that the reasons you get together is to do this stuff and you maintain those agreements, all right, you've got a partnership to create those outcomes. The fourth agreement is, what is the process for achieving that outcome? Okay, we're going to have fun. How do we do it? Well, I like to go on roller coasters. I like to watch horror movies. Okay, where our outcome is fun, but we have very different ideas about how to do that. So if we can't agree on the process, it's going to be very difficult for us to have a relationship and to have an effective partnership. Because for some person, oh, I enjoy nature. For one person, it might be going and walking through flower gardens. Another person might be hiking through the desert. But you said you like nature. Not like that. It's because my wife and I have had a conversation about camping. And I'm glad we defined what that meant. I think about camping as you're in a tent, you're out in the open with some of the elements. Her idea is you are at a state park in an air-conditioned cabin with a fridge. So we need to agree to that process, or we are not going to be able to accomplish fun and connection with nature. So you not only need to negotiate the partnership overall, but you need to negotiate it contextually as well. How are we partners on a dinner date? How are we partners at Thanksgiving with the family? How are we partners in parenting? I can't tell you how many messed up kids have been created by inconsistency in parenting. Because there are two completely conflicting rule sets when it comes to how you parent, how you discipline. Anybody else experience this? They may each be very reasonable in their own right, but they're not done by both people. So what you end up doing is raising a very confused child who does not know what the rules are. Well, my child is very impulsive. My child is very reactive. My child's always losing their temper. Does either one of you do that? He does. And sometimes, he will own it. And then he'll turn and look at his wife and say, well, she's too permissive. She lets the kid get away with anything. Well, it's because I want her to understand that, nobody is perfect and it's okay to make mistakes, and I don't want her to feel bad about herself. Then the other person doesn't see the learning happening fast enough, gets impatient, and then says, you screwed up again. How many times do we need to tell you, don't listen to your mother. She just wants you to get away with everything. I want to teach you to be a responsible adult. Okay, so am I supposed to be a responsible adult, feel bad about what I did, or am I supposed to feel like it's okay to be a human being and not feel bad about it? So the mother negotiates one partnership with the child, the father negotiates a second partnership, and the child is confused. Make sense? Everybody hitting their saturation point? I can kind of see it. Hand back there.
I have a question about negotiation.
Okay.
How do you feel about rewards?
Ooh, she just opened Pandora's box. How do I feel about reward systems? Well, let me, guys, ask you that question first. How do you feel about reward systems? Oh, that was an easy answer. That can be positive or negative. Give me an example of either. It can be bribery, absolutely. Okay. So if you use it to get a change in behavior, but you don't need to use it forever.
Maybe if it actually changes,
Mm-hmm.
they realize that if they do all their chores, they get, instead of the toy, they get the hug and voice from mom and dad and the high five from mom and dad, and that's better than the toy.
So we look back to the beginning of the day, the total experience cycle. You can change behavior, but not change thinking and feeling. So one of the difficulties I've seen long-term with that is because you have an external reward, nothing about the thinking and feeling needs to change. Because it's simply a means to an end, simply to change behavior. I will give you a sticker, I will give you a token, I'll give you some money, whatever it is. And it also it meets an immediate need instead of something long-term more substantial. Because the ultimate measure of any kind of token system, reward system, is when they do something because there's a relationship value attached to it. In other words, you do this thing that I've asked you to do because one of our agreements in a partnership is that we respect each other's needs. And when you do this, it helps meet this need for me. So it's relationship driven, not carrot driven. You follow me? Because there was a scenario that I was asked to consult on. A young man was in a behavioral school, an ED-BD school, and he'd been earning his points all day long, and he did something inappropriate. So he took his points away for the day and he attacked his aide, violently attacked his aide. And when I picked apart what the heck happened there, what I was able to help them determine is that the main relationship they were helping him build was a relationship between him and the points. The relationship with the people didn't matter. The people were a means to an end. They were a means to him getting points. He valued the points, not the people. So there was no reward within that system that was relationship driven. He didn't care about them, he cared about the points. They had it completely backwards. So what they essentially did was deprived him of his best friend. You took my points away? How dare you? It never occurred to them that's what they were doing. The bottom line is, in life, none of our needs get met without each other. So the reward needs to be something within the relationship. Time, attention. I will give you of my resources. So the rewards for my older boy likes his video games. He needs money to get his video games. If he does specific things for me, I'll give him some money so he can go and get his video game. But he must do right by me first. It's not like you're doing a chore and therefore the chore is the means to an end. You're doing the chore because it helps me. It's because you're meeting a need for me. It's about me and him. It's not about the chore. You see the difference? So the leverage needs to be about the relationship, not about the thing. That's the kind of token system that needs to be driving all of these. So long as it's an external carrot that has nothing to do with people, it runs the risk of turning people into valuing objects and things and not people. One of the ways you do it is through the feedback you give them. Like with my son, I can say, you know, I really feel respected by you when you do this for me. It was really helpful for me right now when you did that, and I really appreciate it. You were very helpful to do this for me. You use a lot of language that speaks to who they are and speaks to their character, and you also speak to the value they gave you. Like, you were very helpful right now when you did this for me, and I really appreciate it. So you're giving them feedback, letting them know how they're doing, as opposed to, good job at completing your test on time, good job of turning in the assignment. You give them feedback that says you did a good job at turning in the paper. What if you said, I'm so grateful that when I gave the deadline for this paper, you respected me enough to turn it in on time as asked. I really appreciate you when you do that. Do you see you're commenting on the same event, but one was task-oriented, one was relationship-oriented. So you need to have a conversation that's relationship-oriented. That's how you change the focus on what the outcome is. Because it's got to be about the people. Otherwise, they don't learn to care about people. Did that answer your question? Okay. Any other questions about that? Okay. Here, then here. You never withhold a relationship. You don't say, if you don't do this, I'm never going to love you. The feedback you give is always that we're right here, we're going to connect, but this is how it needs to happen to work. For instance, a kid gets mad and says, I hate you, I'm going to cut your head off, I'm going to kill you. You can say, that's inappropriate, go to your room, don't talk to me. That's withholding a relationship. That's a form of emotional abandonment, even though I can fully appreciate a parent being shocked by that language. However, if your outcome is to give that child feedback to allow them to be more effective in communicating their relationships, then you hang in there and you say, you know what, I can tell you're upset. I really know that you want to tell me something, but the words you're using right now makes it really difficult for me to understand you. So if there's something you really want to tell me, we need to figure out a way for you to do it. Because my now 10-year-old, when he was younger, he used to chew my wife up and spit her out. He'd say stuff that brought her to tears, only because he was mad and didn't get what he wanted. So I sat him down and we did an intensive negotiation where I basically asked him, were you mad when she didn't give you what you wanted? Yes, I was mad. Okay, why didn't you say that? Well, I wanted her to, feel bad. I wanted her to hurt too. Okay, and what did that get you? Got me in trouble. Is that what you wanted? Did you want to get in trouble? No. What did you want? I wanted her to know I was mad. Okay. So What you did decide to say got you in trouble. You said you didn't want that. What you wanted her to know is you were mad. So try that right now. Tell me you're mad. I'm mad. Okay, thank you so much for telling me about it. I understand that. I don't understand that you want to burn the house down. I don't understand that you want to stab me in the chest with a knife. You tell me you're mad? I get that. Thank you. So I just told him he was effective. I'm still connected. I'm still in there with him. The relationship is never at stake. What's at stake is how effectively we connect in this moment. Not whether or not we connect, how effectively we do it. So I spent about 45 minutes with him. And after that intense negotiation where I just kept helping him realize that everything he was doing was not getting him the outcome he wanted, now whenever we tell him no, he says, okay. Where in the past he would have completely melted down on us. Now that's, of course, a real complex process to teach. There are some parents, it takes a couple months for them to get this because it's a paradigm shift. Because you have to move from reactivity to proactivity, to being very clear on your outcomes in very intense situations. Because some parents have beliefs that under no circumstances can you disrespect me, and you disrespect me when you talk like this. Then as soon as that happens, it pushes a button, they blow their caps, and they blow the opportunity. So there's a lot of belief and value shifts that need to take place for that to work. But I'm glad you brought that up. It's a very important point. Okay? Over here. When you tell them next time you're mad, tell me you're mad, you need to get them doing it. So if you were going to tell me how you're mad, how would you do it? Everything he's doing now, any pattern a person has worked into, is because they are wired into that pattern. The total experience cycle, thought, feeling, physiology, action. If you want him to do something new, he needs to do it all. You follow me? So if you value, tell me when you're mad, what would you think, what would you feel, how would you hold your body, how would you do it? You need to, almost like you were having him rehearse a play. You need to get him up doing everything he'd be doing in that moment. You need to do it so much that he forgets the old way of doing it. And for some kids, you need to do more. It needs to be a more intense experience of the new way to wire it in their nervous system. Otherwise, they're always going to slide back to the old setting. Because simply having a conversation about it, saying, tell me, what would you do next time? You're only hitting one part of the 4-part cycle. You need to remember it. That's purely intellectual. Where's the feeling? Where's the physiology? You follow me? You got to get his whole being involved in it if you're going to rewire that pattern. So for some kids, it's a lot harder work. It takes more, but you can make the shift. Make sense? A little bit. And my explaining it to you is going to be harder because I'm just telling you. I'm not showing it to you. And we can have a little bit more of a conversation about it later. But if you think about it, there's a belief about what's essential for the relationship. Because if he says, I want you to feel how I'm feeling, okay? What he's essentially feeling is, I want to negotiate a lose-lose relationship with you. I feel bad, so I want you to feel bad too. If he actually wants to feel better, part of his belief shift needs to be, I want to communicate to you that I want to feel better than I do. And then I want to recruit you to help me feel better. So that's why the belief shift, it's not just a matter of changing a technique, telling me you're mad. His essential belief is your partnership needs to be lose-lose for him to feel like he's effective. So that's an essential component of that too. Beliefs and values. So all these pieces we're discussing today, you need to bring all that into that situation in order to change it, especially with somebody who has that many challenges. You need to work even harder and get them at an even deeper level because the neurology is wired in such a unique way. Okay?